Hi everybody, it's Lynne Forsythe from the Swirlydoos Education Design Team located at swirlydoos.com, and I'm here to show you some of my creations that I've made with the gelatos, which were part of the November Technique Kit. I created two additional pieces, and here is one of them. This was created from a piece of artboard that comes from Zutter. And I came up with this little creation, which could be a standalone with verbiage on it. It could be a book cover. It could be whatever you want it to be. The second thing that I created was this canvas, in which I used some of the pieces parts from the Technique Kit itself. So I'm going to just show you today how I created these backgrounds using the gelatos. So for the first technique, I'm going to show you how I created this background here. And basically what I did is this canvas is already pre-treated with gesso. And so I'm going to use the artboard, which is also already pre-treated. And basically all I did was I just made strips of color with the gelatos. Getting darker as I go. So you can see it looks like you've been coloring on your canvas with crayon. Then what I did was I just took a paintbrush that is very wet and just made stripes. Back and forth. Getting more water as needed. And that's how I created my background that's on my canvas. If you want to, you can go in with a little bit more water. But you have to be careful because the more you play with it, the more it reacts. So there you have it. And so you dry it and you have the beautiful background. And how simple was that? For my second background, I just basically took the gelatos and colored in a random fashion on my artboard. No particular order, just coloring. Okay, so once again, here it is all colored on my artboard. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a very wet paintbrush and I'm just going to go in. Once again, get those colors moving around with the water. And then what I did when I had that water on here was I took it and I held it and I let it run. And look at that color. Oh my gosh. And if you have an area you just want to run a little bit more, add a little bit more water. And then once I had this like this, what I did was my favorite best friend is my oven set on 200 degrees, in which then I put this in there and let it just dry. So I've decided that I want to try that technique on an untreated canvas. So here I have this little mini canvas from Canvas Corp, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing I did on the artboard, and I'm just going to color my canvas here. And let's experiment with this together and see how this is all going to come out. And I do have my fingers up underneath here because otherwise you're going to get right along the wood edge and it's going to make a mark. And not that that'll be a bad thing, but we'll find out, won't we? Okay, so there we have the canvas. All nice and covered, and let's see what happens here. We're just going to spritz this with water. And I'm just going to take my finger and go in and kind of smudge it around. Oh, look at that. Okay, so there we have it. We've now worked with that one, and this is gorgeous too. How much fun are gelatos? So I just pulled my artboard out of the oven, and look at that. That marbling is just so cool. Although I'm not real happy with what happened down in this corner, so we'll just go in with a little more gelatos and fix it. So with a wet paintbrush, I'm just going in and kind of moving the gelatos around. I can even wet my finger and just kind of go in. There we have it. Now we got a little bit more color. I'm a bit happier with that. And then also what I did on my canvas was I took the black licorice gelato and I just went around the edges of this because I really wanted to create a border around the edges of my canvas. And then with my finger I just went in and randomly blended it in. So now I'm just going to pop that in the oven and let that all finish drying. Something else I wanted to show you that I did was I stamped on this piece of Mayart's ribbon with my gelatos, and how cool does that look? It's just a really just awesome watercolor look. So the way that I did that was I just cut off a chunk of my gelatos and put it on my craft mat, and then with my paintbrush just started working that and wetting it until I create a paint-like mixture. And if you can't seem to get the gelatos to break down, I'm using my palette knife and I'm just kind of mushing it around and letting it soak up that water. And basically what it's going to be is it's going to be kind of the consistency of paint, because I don't want it too runny because otherwise it will just make a mess in the fabric. But I want it enough so that I can put my stamp into it. So then I'm just going to take my stamp and acting as if the gelatos were just ink or paint, and I'm going to stamp onto my ribbon. Oh my gosh, how beautiful is that? And then we're just going to keep up with that process. If the gelatos look like they're getting too thick, just give them another mist of water, not too much, and we'll just continue to stamp down the ribbon. my gosh, that is just so beautiful. And there you have it, your own personalized ribbon to go along with your canvas. How beautiful would that be tied around there? A little flower cluster, some verbiage on there, and you've got a beautiful gift. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today with Swirlydoos.com. Head on over to the website, check things out. It's a pretty fun place to hang out, and you have a wonderful creative day.